such good shit! Hey, Mark Rodriguez here, and welcome to the very first episode of Diving Cutter, the wrestling podcast, formerly known as Mark's Out Wrestling Aftershock Reviews. The name is just way too long. Now, instead of being a video format, it's going to be a podcast format, and I got some cool people with me.
Hey, it's Chuck, El Luchador.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rodriguez.
You can't have an awesome podcast without yours truly, Jack Knives of Jack Knives Reviews, also of Jack Rant's Rumble Podcast.
And this is Taco Rocco, a.k.a. the Macho Taco. Thanks for having me, Mark. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to do this podcast this evening, so let's do it to it.
Let's get this show on the road.
All right, I'm glad to hear it, guys. So basically what we used to do in the past, and it was due to time constraints and all that, whenever we had a big AEW pay-per-view, we would go to Chuck's house, we'll do our predictions, but we would do it like the actual night of the event. So naturally, with all the editing and stuff, by the time our predictions were up, well, you guys already saw the event, and I guess half the fun was already gone, except for seeing Chuck's hijinks there. But now with this podcast, this is Friday night. By the time you guys see this, it's going to be like Saturday morning / afternoon. So it's still within the time. You can still watch this. Just kick back and relax and hear us talk about wrestling. And it'll still be in time to make your own comparisons with our predictions, with your predictions of Double or Nothing. But before we go there, we're going to go over a bit of wrestling news here and there. A couple of current events. This podcast is not strictly AEW. It will be kind of sort of heavy on AEW, but we're going to try to expand it to other wrestling companies as well.
So, first bit of news is the unfortunate passing of Shad Gaspar, formerly a member of Crime Time. He unfortunately was swept up in a wave in Venice Beach on May 17th. He luckily was able to save his son before being swept up into the massive wave and was having a search and rescue for several days. And May 20th, his body was found washed ashore. Unfortunately, he did pass away, and he was only 39. He's, like I said, he's most famous for being a member of Crime Time. He was also a Tough Enough alumni, as well as being a stunt double for the Black Panther movie.
Wait,
and
what?
A bouncer for several. Yeah, he was a bouncer for the Black Panther. He was a stunt double for the Black Panther movie. He was also several different. He was in several different action films. The most recent thing he actually did was he was actually the stunt coordinator for the most recent Birds of Prey movie. He has done quite a few movies, mostly as a stunt coordinator. And unfortunately, like I said, he passed far too soon. He was very loved. Apparently, he was a very well-made or very nice person. He also... I also just found this out. He also did the motion capture for Kratos for the last God of War game. So his body is actually the structure that you see in Kratos have.
I think it's a big loss. I mean, the guy, yes, his pinnacle was with Crime Time, and they haven't really been, major mainstays for the better part of about 10 years. But, I mean, they were still active as Crime Time. But I always remember him for having such an imposing look. I mean, the guy was cut. It's a shame he didn't accomplish more on his own, even with that look that he had. He was 6'6", good 260 pounds. He was jacked, and he could go. And he did a lot more than just wrestling. I mean, he got my biggest memory of him, aside from wrestling, was he foiled a robbery. I mean, that was in the news a few years back, where he, took down the gunman before anything could, go down in the convenience store. So, I mean, the guy is no stranger to heroic act. So it was no surprise to me that he directed that lifeguard to save his son first. And it just sucks that a sneaker wave caught him before the lifeguard could make him come back for him. But, of course, my condolences go out to his family. I can imagine what a traumatizing experience that is for a son to go through that, for his wife to watch it unfold helplessly from the shore, for his family, for JTG, who I could imagine is very shook up over this. I mean, they were as close as brothers. So that's not always easy. Also, the other story was if you've seen Chris Masters made a post where he actually got in his car as soon as he heard this happened, and he drove out to Venice Beach and went looking for him in the water and did not leave the shore until they found him. You know, I mean, obviously Shad had a lot of friends. He was a true friend to a lot. And this is a big loss. He was still fairly young. He still had a lot to contribute, whether it was to wrestling, to whatever. He's one of the good guys of the business, and from all accounts, I mean, everybody talks about how positive he was, and it's definitely a big loss. You know, he's definitely far too young, had a lot more in the tank. You know, the Heaven Wrestling Federation just got another big stud.
And I can kind of go off of what you guys were saying. I mean, he didn't have all that much exposure. He was kind of shoehorned into a gimmick that he went and ran with it. He did the best that he could, and I just remember the biggest memory I have of him when I was younger. I mean, I would have been about maybe 13 or 14, which was probably one of the biggest peaks of my wrestling background when I was a younger kid. Was them selling bootleg tickets to Monday Night Raw when DX got kicked out. So he could always give you a laugh, but he was a big dude. And, I mean, from what everybody's saying, he had a heart of gold, too. And I've heard a lot of people say this, too. What they do with the Warrior Award, I think, if they give it to someone this year, it's got to be the Shad, for sure.
I mean, all I can say is, wow, I had no idea he did so many other things other than wrestling. All that extra information. It is kind of funny, though, that the guy from Crime Time stopped a crime. That's kind of, ironic there, right? But, yeah, I mean, he was a good dude, and he basically, he literally sacrificed his life to save his son. So that's as noble as it gets.
I think he's one of the few shining examples of the person will outlive their legacy as a wrestler. Him being a wrestler was only just a footnote of who he was, and what he did outside the ring, I think, is going to be more memorable as a legacy than what the ring.
Yeah.
I think as we, a part of the wrestling community, can, thank him for what he's, hope his family can rest at ease knowing that he left a good legacy behind.
And let me just add this, for all of those who frequent ProWrestlingTees.com, they did come to an agreement with his family and a couple others they released a Shad Gaspard t-shirt for sale. Benefits go to his family. It's a great looking shirt. Basically him with a very large pair of Tims that were, and then a halo over his head, with a rest in peace. It's a very classy move. Pro Wrestling Tees is, they just released the Great Owen Hart shirt and everything. So they're really on the dot with this. So if you want to get yourself a great shirt and keep the memory of a good man alive, I go ahead and plunk down the $24.99 because it'll be worth every penny.
Yeah.
Management now that they're having that 20% off sale,
Yeah, and it's good till the 25th, too, so you can get some really good stuff all clumped together.
Yeah, because this will actually be online during that sale, so you guys still have time. If you're listening now, you still have time to go check out the website and buy some stuff.
So moving on to the next bit of news, this is more pertaining to what we are currently going to be talking about in the podcast. We also have an update. This past Wednesday, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, was supposed to be slated to fight Chris Statlander. However, during a bump in the match itself, there was a point where an injury occurred and Britt Baker actually broke. They're not too sure if it's broken or fractured ribs, but she did fracture a rib, and so therefore she will be out of action. However, they did officially announce an hour ago that they changed and replaced her with Penelope Ford. So it will be Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander.
It was actually a torn ACL from the reports that I'm hearing.
Oh, was it?
Which is that's a very, especially in wrestling and any sport just about, it's one of the most severe injuries you can have. You can't even walk on it. She's slated to be out 6 to 9 months, which is unfortunate because her heel character and her heel persona was just starting to go ahead, and I thought she was a million times better as a heel than a face. Her face character wasn't working. She was getting that heel persona. She was getting heat on her. People hated her, which is what you want from a heel. But, I mean, she's still young, too. She's, I think, 29. She's only like 2 years older than me, so yeah, she'd be 29. She still has a long career to go, but losing 6 to 9 months for an injury like that's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. She was definitely picking up steam. Like, she had a great thing going with Tony Schiavone, and, but, like, she was really starting to, she kind of, at first, when she turned heel, she was kind of awkward with the promos, but she really grew into her own on the stick, and, was probably one of the more compelling parts of the program, even during the early COVID days where they were taping out of QT Marshall's gym when she was one of the ones at ringside. She'd take advantage of those two seconds or whatever, and just with her mannerisms and everything, and I think she's really come leaps and bounds. It's kind of a double whammy for her because this not only affects her wrestling, but I would imagine this keeps her from practicing her dentistry for a good bit. It's sad, but she'll come back from it. I mean, she, has, they got the best medical people available, who knows what they'll do with her. Maybe they'll keep her going with keeping her on commentary and take full advantage of the dynamic that she and Tony have, but she's one of the better female wrestlers on that roster. It's a shame that she went down like that, but she'll be back. She'll be back stronger, and maybe more people will appreciate her for it.
All right, guys. Now let's start with the actual event, the AEW Double or Nothing 2020 edition. Our predictions. We're gonna kind of go with the matches, starting off with the buy-in, then some of the other matches in no particular order. But of course, we're saving the major ones, the main events, for last. And we'll kind of give our thoughts, and we'll see what's going on there. And you had something in mind with our predictions there, Taco?
What I'm going to do is keep track of everybody's scores, what matches they predict, and the next time we do something, the next podcast, we will reveal who the winner was. And depending on how everybody wants to do it, maybe the winner gets something, and maybe the loser has to do a punishment. But we'll go from there.
Yes. And we plan to do the podcast, if possible, if you guys aren't too busy. We're going to try to do it Sunday night. Obviously Saturday we're watching the event, but Sunday night we could give our thoughts on the actual pay-per-view, like the actual review of the event. And, we could kind of announce who was right, who was wrong, and stuff like that there, if that sounds cool. So anyways, guys, to start off with the buy-in here, we've got AEW World Tag Team Championship #1 contenders match. So apparently whoever wins this will get to challenge the tag team champs. And we got Private Party going up against Best Friends. And for me, I'm gonna have to go with Private Party because I'm a big fan of them. And I mean, I think we've seen too much of Best Friends lately. I mean, that might help their momentum, but I kind of want to see Private Party pull up a win. They're very impressive. I actually like how they actually got the win against the Young Bucks earlier during the tournament and stuff. That really did show off their skills and everything. And I think just the fact that I haven't seen them too often is gonna make me miss them and just kind of get back in them and be in their corner. So I'm gonna go for Private Party for this one. And since this show originally started off with Chuck and I giving our thoughts and comments, in fact, the very first episode, if you remember, way back when it was just called Aftershock Reviews or whatever, we were still in a restaurant talking about when Sting appeared at Survivor Series or something. So right off the bat, the very first episode was you and me, Chuck. So You can give your thoughts on this match.
Yeah, this match is going to. I love that it's the opener because you want to start off with a hot opener, and both of these teams are white hot right. I look for the match to go at least good 15 solid minutes. It's going to be a nice back and forth. I do see Best Friends winning because they are streaking pretty good right now. And honestly, I think with the whole Orange Cassidy being the most over guy on the roster, this is they're primed for a tag title run. In my opinion, I think it's well deserved. I think Trent and Chuck just have an amazing chemistry. This is also going to build Private Party as well. They're going to have a pretty good shine in this, and they're going to have several near falls. But ultimately, I think Best Friends are the team to beat right now. They're easily one of my favorites, so I might be biased. But I think it's a long time coming. And also, the other thing I wanted to point out, too, I just think they're the team that I think that can beat, Omega and Hangman as well. I don't see Private Party being able to do that and being taken seriously to do that. So I think they're the perfect foil for the tag champ.
Ooh, this is kind of, I don't know, I don't really have like a preference for Private Party or Best Friends. I'll just say Private Party, why not? What do you think, Taco?
This one, for me, was one of the easier ones to call, honestly. Now, I don't know how the higher-ups at AEW are going to decide this, but in my opinion, I think it's going to be Best Friends. They've been the workhorses of the quote-unquote COVID era, or the era without attendance. Trent and Chuck have been tag team partners for a long time. They've been in PWG together. They're honestly one of my favorite tag teams too. So they know each other very well. Private Party's still young. I feel like it's going to be a good match though, but I think ultimately Best Friends take it. What do you think, Jax?
I don't know if necessarily it was quite as simple as like immediately picking Best Friends, but I do believe that this is going to be like a pretty good nail-biting match because the one advantage is Private Party is more high-flying, and Best Friends are more kind of ground-based and powerhouses. But the one thing I will say that gives them the edge is they have been on a hot streak, whereas Private Party haven't really been competing too much on Dynamite. But in that same way, I think that it would be a better match to have Best Friends win, because I think that them versus Kenny and Hangman would be a great dynamic, considering the Best Friends have already beaten Kenny and Michael Nakazawa, who teamed up, but they haven't faced him with Hangman, especially with this whole descent with Hangman. That kind of match can kind of just go up in the air, especially with Orange Cassidy in the mix. It could just go anyway.
So anyways, on to the actual event. Why don't we start off with the big ladder match to go to the whole Vegas theme, the casino ladder match for an AEW World Title shot. And I believe Taco knows all the competitors so far?
Yes, I do. So for this ladder match, like Mark said, it's for the number one contendership for the AEW World Title. Well, it's a future match, not the number one contendership. I apologize. First, we have Darby Allin. We also have Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Rey Fenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and lastly we have a entrant to be determined. So that kind of gives a different dynamic to it. But as far as that goes, what are your thoughts, Mark?
All right, guys, here I am with a last-minute update because you know how the world of wrestling just keeps changing all the time. Turns out that Rey Fenix will not be in the ladder match. He'll be replaced by Joey Janela, the bad boy. But I'm going to keep all the original comments here, our original thoughts and predictions, because none of us really voted for Rey Fenix, and I really doubt any one of us would have voted for Joey Janela as the winner. So here are our original thoughts intact. On with the podcast. All right, so as for the mystery competitor, that's kind of a tough one here. It's because it's kind of hard to say because a lot of times, sometimes the mystery competitor is like someone already in AEW, and other times you get like a completely, a new guy, a new signage. I'm not sure on the like no complete cause that Eric Rowan might have or Eric Redbeard might have, but I would love to see him just surprise everyone to come in as the mystery guy. Does it make sense for Eric Rowan to make an appearance, or would you have like a non compete clause?
Is he still under the night? Okay, yeah, he is. I didn't.
Because he was part of that group. It got released on, what was it, the 15th of April. So technically...
Right, that's
still
right.
under
He
the
was
90
furloughed.
days.
That's right. He was one of the furloughed.
Okay, so in that case, I would say that that it would be Pentagon Jr. as the mystery guy with Cero Miedo.
Good choice.
And dude, that's my choice. If he makes it as the mystery guy, right there, that's my choice to win. Like, I don't know. I went from sick of it to totally digging the whole Cero Miedo and all that. So, like, I don't know. It's got to be him. I guess my second choice would be Darby Allin if he can survive. I mean, he's the guy that takes a lot of punishment. And as you know, Cassie's gonna have a lot of like shining moments and jokes and whatever. Luchasaurus is gonna tear shit up. But yeah, if it's some other person I don't care about as a mystery guy, I'm gonna go for Darby Allin. But if they have Pentagon Jr. come in, I want him to win. I want him to take it.
Oh man, that's a good picks. But I'm gonna go ahead and follow you up here. Mystery entrant. I think it's a guy that won a lot before. I was gonna say my first pick, if it weren't for this travel ban between the UK and us, I'd say Pac. But obviously he can't make it in. They have no way of working it out. So my mystery entrant is the newly released Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. I think with him, winning the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, I think we all know him for that. I don't think he wins the ladder match. As far as who wins it, I think Scorpio Sky. I think Scorpio Sky has the ability to make this his breakout moment. I think it's going to come down to him and Darby. I think Scorpio and Kazarian are going to even have a good mix up with each other during the match. But I think this match comes down to a pure athleticism. And right now, I don't think anybody is a better athlete on that roster than Scorpio Sky. And he's going to prove it. I think he's going to go ahead and take that chip. And you got to think they've done some vignettes on him as well. They're trying to build him up. They were testing the waters with him against Jericho. They want to push this guy, and I think this is the way to do it. This is his coming out party as far as singles career is concerned.
Okay, so for the mystery guy, it has to be Pentagon Jr. Cero Miedo. I think the winner could be Darby Allin. You never know. So what do you think, Taco?
So this match was honestly the hardest one for me to pick because, I mean, even without the mystery competitor, your chances are very slim of picking the winner. I did want to go with what Chuck said with Scorpio Sky winning the match, but, like I said, this was the toughest one for me to pick, and I literally couldn't make a decision until about 15 minutes before we started this podcast. But this one, he's kind of one of my dark horses, and he's honestly one of my favorite wrestlers at this point, too. He's also coming off of an injury, and if I'm not mistaken from what I've read, his contract with his previous company has expired. So hopefully this pick doesn't completely screw me. But my mystery choice was, my mystery choice is also who I choose to win this match, because it would give some fresh blood into the world title scene, and it would give some fresh blood into AEW. My choice is actually Brian Cage. He's massive. If there was fans, he would get a gigantic pop too. Probably one of the biggest and most in-shape people in wrestling as well. He's just a massive person, and I think him and Moxley would have a freaking amazing match. So, like I said, at this point, mystery competitor is Brian Cage, and I see him winning. I actually see in my head, I see the mystery competitor winning regardless of who it is. But that's just me. So what do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I also had a bit of a problem. Not necessarily with my choice in the pick, but more mystery pick. The weird thing is I've been like conflicted on it could be one of three people. And two of those people, I'm like 90% sure it'd be one of these two. But, gun to my head, if I had to pick one mystery person who would come in based off of just the company and his previous relationship with these people, I'm saying that the person who will be most likely the mystery partner, who has never debuted for AEW, Flip Gordon. And I believe that the person who will win will either be Flip Gordon or Luchasaurus. Because I think that Luchasaurus, despite a lot of people kind of underestimating him, he moves really quick for a big guy. And he's not just like a big guy, like he's huge. And he moves like a lightweight. So I think that could be a big advantage. Plus, I think he could really put some really interesting chemistry to whoever wins the Brody Lee and the Moxley match. So my pick is either Flip Gordon or it is Luchasaurus.
All right, so the next matchup here, I'm going to go for the AEW Women's World Championship match with no disqualification, no countouts. And it's between the current champion, Nyla Rose, versus the challenger, Hikaru Shida. I don't know. I think by this point, Nyla Rose has been champion long enough, and Hikaru Shida's been putting in the work. She's been appearing in a lot more matches. I think even before the COVID thing, she was appearing like quite often enough and kind of building up her fame. And people just just love her, going with the kendo stick, the spot where she like jumps off the chair and socks, like she flies at you and stuff like that. Yeah, she's been pretty awesome, and I would not be against her winning the title. And I think that with all the heat and stuff with Nyla Rose injuring people here and there, I mean, I'm sure her injuring Britt Baker brought her some heat, whether or not that was part of the plan or not. I mean, it would just make everyone rock the house if Hikaru Shida took her down and won the title. And yeah, because I've seen her for a while, I knew sooner or later she had to get the title sooner or later. She's just fucking awesome. She's one of the best Joshi wrestlers they got, and I think she's the most consistent one because, like, Yuka Sakazaki just vanished and all these other ones vanished, but Hikaru Shida's been appearing more and more and more when you compare it to Yuka and Emi Sakura. So, yeah, I'm Team Shida.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and concur with the Shida pick. I think Nyla Rose was their big, they gave her the title and everything, and they got their their good PR out of that. But honestly, she's not. There, even as with heel tactics, there's no connection with the audience. The audience obviously just can't get behind her. I think Shida right now she's the workhorse of the entire division. She can have a quality match with anybody. And I think at this point, to really build up that women's division properly, you have to do it on the back of Shida, honestly. I think she's the one that could really build the prestige up on the AEW women's title.
Okay, so this is a tough one because on one hand, Nyla Rose is like the powerhouse, but Shida, like, she's very fast and everything. So I don't know. This is going to be a very, okay, I know I'm supposed to choose a person, but I'm just going to flat out say that this is going to be one of those matches that's probably going to last quite a while because they're both really good wrestlers. But I still do think that I don't know, like what everybody else have said, Nyla Rose have shined quite a bit. So I think now it's Shida's turn, to win this match. What do you think, Taco?
Well, I guess I'm the odd man out in this one because I've actually gone for Nyla. Here's the reason why. Brief rundown. She's had one title defense so far against Chris Statlander. She's actually held the title less time than Riho has held the title. And I don't think you can put over a dominant heel if they've held the title for, I don't remember the exact amount of time, but it's definitely less than Riho has held the title for. I think that, I understand she had that big botch on Wednesday, but I don't think that's going to deter her. I think Shida's going to be the women's title. I just don't think it's her time yet, especially with having a title reign as short as Nyla has with as little defenses as she had. And, being a monster heel, you have to just steamroll the competition. And with it being a no DQ match, ultimately I think Nyla wins, honestly. I mean, this was kind of a flip of the coin for me. But in my thought process, I think Nyla wins it. Shida's going to win it eventually. She's probably going to win it from Nyla at some point, but I don't think her time's yet. What do you think, Jack?
I kind of disagree because not in the assumption that Nyla can't win, but it's more in the matter of I feel that even just from the power rankings that they constantly push about like who's number one contender, Hikaru Shida has been the number one contender at least 5 times and never given a proper title shot on a one-on-one basis. And I think it's been more than enough time that she should have already gotten the title shot one-on-one, and yet she hasn't. And I feel that normally I do agree that Nyla would win. However, I think that with the no DQ, no countout, it actually favors Hikaru Shida's advantage with using kendo sticks and using weapons. And I think what will most likely happen is Hikaru Shida will win and become the new AEW Women's Champion. However, shortly later down the road, Nyla Rose will retain the title and basically use it as a platform to say, well, you only beat me because of weapon, kind of thing. And I think that's going to eventually make Nyla the first ever two-time women's champion. That's what I feel is going to happen, because it will still make her look dominant, and then basically you could use it as the excuse of, well, yeah, technically she was using weapons, so, it's kind of in that regard. So my pick is Hikaru Shida to be the new AEW Women's Champion.
All right, so for one of these, I guess, lower card matches or so, or however you guys figure it, but I guess one of the cool down matches, I want to say, and this is like so random for a pay-per-view to be honest, but we got MJF with Wardlow there having a singles match against Jungle Boy, and I do understand they have, I guess, a bit of a rivalry. He keeps picking on Jungle Boy, keeps picking on Marco Stunt and all that stuff, but I don't know, like, it could have been part of the buy-in or something, in my opinion, like, to be for the pay-per-view. And, I mean, in this case, I'm going to give it to MJF, mostly because of Wardlow's interference. I mean, MJF does have a couple of skills, but of course, due to his character, he does like to, brag a lot, let his guard down, taunt too much to the audience, make fun of the other guy's mannerisms, which of course gives openings for Jungle Boy to razzle-dazzle with his speed and his agility. So if it was a straight-up one-on-one fight, I would give it to Jungle Boy, but Wardlow's there. Wardlow's going to do something. He's going to sock him when the referee's back is turned, and MJF will win. And of course, coming off that big win with Cody, I don't think he can just go down like that with Jungle Boy. He still has to kind of win this match, whether on his own or, dirty tactics with Wardlow. So I'm going to give it to MJF. Chuck, your thoughts?
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I think there's a couple purposes in this match. One, you want to kind of continue on the slow ascent for Jungle Boy. It's clear down the road they have big plans to develop him as a big singles star. That was evident with that match, that time limit match that he had with Jericho. I don't think anybody seriously thinks he's going to be the one that puts that ultimate blemish on MJF's record. I think the big story here is you just continue to build MJF's momentum as the dominant heel of AEW. Honestly, I think he's going to take over the mantle eventually after Jericho takes a hiatus for a Fozzy tour. So this is going to be a back and forth. I give this match at least a good 10-12 minute. I think they do a couple really close false finishes with Jungle Boy to kind of get our hearts going. But I think MJF wins, and I think he wins with having the ring on his finger in some other nefarious means. Johnny, give it to us.
I think MJF might win. I mean, he's probably going to cheat his way to the top with the Warlords, so that's what I see. I see him winning more compared to Jungle Boy.
I honestly think Jungle Boy is going to win. MJF hasn't lost in a singles match in AEW yet. I feel like they're building MJF up consistently. I feel like this loss is actually going to propel him to be even more of a heelish figure and be even more of an asshole. He's got to lose at some point, and I think it's going to happen on Saturday. I love Jungle Boy. He's definitely one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW. He needs his chance to shine, and I think this is Jungle Boy's night to shine. I mean, he's a superstar. He's small, but he can move, and I think this is going to help catapult him a lot further than what people think he can be. And this will get to show his singles ability that he has as well. Like the last match, I may or may not be the odd, depending on what Jack says. But I'm going to go for Jungle Boy for this one, actually. What do you think, Jack?
I agree. I actually think Jungle Boy is going to win. I think that it's the perfect opportunity for him to win. To not only win clean, but actually beat MJF fair and square. I have a feeling that at some point, knowing Wardlow, he's going to probably do something to try to interfere, but I have a feeling it's maybe backfire and hit MJF by mistake or something, and Jungle Boy will beat him clean, and I think it would be a perfect opportunity for him to win at Double or Nothing, considering Double or Nothing is the first ever official AEW pay-per-view, and this is technically the 1-year anniversary of the debut of AEW. It would be a perfect platform for him to elevate to another level, because he hasn't really had a match that's like a big spotlight match. Yes, technically he had that match with Jericho, but that was a draw. That was a time limit draw, so he didn't get a conclusive push win. But this would be a great push win, and let's be honest, it's not like MJF is not going to get another opportunity to elevate himself. I mean, he's already the monster heel that everyone hates. So my pick is also Jungle Boy, so I do agree with you, Taco.
All right, so now for something big here. We had this tournament here. Well, first of all, they announced a brand new title, so now we got a brand new TNT Championship title, and they had a tournament going on with a couple of cool guys here and there. But bottom line, the last two people here were American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Of course, he got Brandy, and he's got Art Anderson on his side. And then we got Lance Archer, who is led by none other than Jake the Snake Roberts. That's a blast from the past. And to top it off, to make it even more orgasmic here, we've got Iron Mike Tyson himself showing up to announce the championship to who is the winner. So whoever wins between Cody and Lance Archer will be the very first ever TNT champion. And that's pretty cool. And I'm actually surprised that they did this at the pay-per-view, because it's still like the TNT Championship. I don't know if the pay-per-view counts as being part of TNT. I would announce that would that to be part of the actual Dynamite show, but, whatever. I don't know. Honestly speaking, I'm thinking Cody's going to win. I don't know. I mean, he already had that major loss with MJF, that big surprise loss. He can't just lose again. And I kind of think, there's no real point to elevate Cody this high into this if he's just going to lose it anyway. And after all the stuff and all the button pushing that Jake the Snake's been doing, even the stuff against Brandy and everything, I mean, this is like the big part here for Cody to win. And also it's the whole thing where, you know, if Cody lost to Jericho or whatever, he could never ever challenge for the world title ever again. But we never said anything about another title, so that's a way to have Cody in the, you know, championship status without, you know, without some loophole or whatever to get the world championship title. So I'm giving it to Cody. It's just too obvious. I mean, in my opinion, it's too obvious. Obviously, it'll be a fight to the death. It'll be like to the last of everything he's got and everything. It'll get us on the edge of our seats. I'm assuming there's a bit of tampering Jake the Snake there, but Art Anderson will kind of keep him in line or whatever. But I'm gonna give it to Cody. And Chuck, what do you think about that one?
Oh, I got Archer winning. I love Cody and everything, but I think the long-term story playing out with Cody is not winning the big one. And plus, you want to, anytime you have a new title, you want to put it on a heel. That's just for the chase of it, you know? Honestly, with Jake Roberts on the mic, I mean, it only builds that title and establishes it. So I got Archer winning, and then also with the dynamic of Tyson having to present the title to Archer getting in his face, and it just being a beautiful little melee that could potentially occur, or Jake Roberts getting on the mic and having a back and forth with Tyson. Yeah, but no, I got Archer winning very narrowly, though. I think they're going to really tease you hard with Cody winning, but no, Archer is going to take this one. Johnny, give us your thoughts.
Me, this looks like the kind of match that's going to be very, like, tied. Like, it's going to be, like, Cody might win, Archer might win. Of course, in the end, somebody has to win the match. I guess Cody can win the match. But, yeah, it's going to be a long match, that's for sure. What do you think, Taco?
Honestly, I'm gonna kind of go off of what Chuck said. I mean, honestly, I feel like the heel has to win here. And like, you can't bring someone in to a company like they did with Archer and have Jake the Snake back him up without him getting a rocket strapped to his back and him getting a shot to the moon. I mean, he has to win this match. Cody does not need this match. If Cody wins, cool. But I feel like it devalues Archer if Cody wins this match, personally. And Archer is a monster heel. Before when he was in WWE and TNA, he was undervalued in my opinion. When I've seen his work in New Japan, if anybody else has, especially his match with Moxley for the U.S. title, he's very good. He's very underrated. He's massive. He's got the look. He's got the character. He's got Jake the Snake in his corner. I think at the end of the day, Archer wins. It's going to be them beating the piss out of each other. But, like I said, Archer wins this one. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I firmly agree that Lance Archer should win. Lance Archer is a beast. He's freaking huge, and not just like physically. I mean, like, he does a lot of stuff that like most people don't really think about, like in terms of big people, because there's very few wrestlers that are like big and that like you actually feel intimidated going near them, and Lance Archer is one of those people. So I feel that like it's kind of like the way they were trying to push Ryback, but Lance Archer can naturally get over that because he doesn't need to speak. And the fact that they gave him Jake the Snake Roberts is perfect, because one of the biggest flaws that he had in New Japan was he wasn't really great on the promo mics, but on the promos. But with Jake the Snake, he has no problems, because Jake the Snake is one of the best mic workers in the business. But I think that it also will not hurt Cody, because I think that Cody will eventually, sometime down the line, win the TNT Championship. And I think more than likely it might come maybe around All Out, or possibly he'll go, or possibly he'll, win. They did say that he cannot. They've already said that Cody cannot challenge for the AEW World Championship, but they never said anything about him getting an opportunity. So, Moxley being Moxley, if he retains the title, I honestly can see Moxley just going, you know what? How about I give you a shot? I just feel like that's kind of his character of how he would be. So I think that to say, like, this would, like, ruin Cody, that's not possible. Because I think Cody's just such a huge person in the company that I think he's more or less helping elevate other talent right now. I do think that later down the line he'll get more opportunities and he will eventually win more championships. I don't think he should be the first champion of the TNT title, though. I think that should go to Lance Archer because they've been having him pretty much unbeatable. And I think if you just keep elevating to that level, then you can just wait until the one guy who can knock him down.
So right now for the next match here to kind of go on with the Rhodes family, we have the natural Dustin Rhodes versus the chairman Shawn Spears singles match here. And I mean, if I'm going for my personal pick, I want Dustin to win. I want him to score a win. I don't know how many matches he's actually had a chance to actually win, because I know a lot of it is because he's the older guy. He's helping put other people over and stuff like that. I think he's had a couple of tag matches where he does win, but for here, for a one-on-one match, I want him to win. I want him to take down Shawn Spears. I do understand that in Shawn Spears' defense, like, I guess he needs to win more. He hasn't really done all that much of anything. And that storyline with the whole looking for a tag team partner, that kind of, I don't know if it just went nowhere or it's because, the whole COVID thing got in the way. But my personal bias, I want Dustin Rhodes to win.
A little bit of a crapshoot for me, but as Taco will tell you, and we've had these discussions, I am probably one of the number one guys on the high on Shawn Spears list. I just think this guy has been underutilized for his whole career. I mean, even going all the way back to the WWE CW days that he was on there as Gavin Spears. I think Dustin right now is in this position where, he wants to help get people over and help kind of push people up. And right now, during this whole COVID no audience era, you want to talk about best friends being kind of like the workhorses of that. That was in tag competition. In singles competition, Shawn Spears has been in that forefront, and he's really he's used this to really up his game with the promos. I mean, you've seen the Shawn Spears Network promo. I want to see Shawn Spears get a statement win here. I mean, eventually this is going to build towards another showdown with Cody down the road. What better way to get on Cody's radar than to beat his brother? And I think, Dustin gives a good fight. I think he comes up short. And they continue on the retirement storyline with Dustin. But, this is going to be a coming out party for Shawn Spears.
This is another one of those matches. No, it's kind of like what Chuck said. I mean, I think Shawn Spears, has really good potential for this match. So I would say, I think he should win the match. As much as Dustin Rhodes is, really good wrestler and all that, but I think it's time for Shawn Spears to, win this match big time. What do you think, Taco?
I agree with Johnny and Chuck. This is one of the ones that was easy enough for me to call. I feel like Spears has to win this match. Dustin doesn't need this match at all. I love Shawn Spears too. I've been very adamant about him too. As Chuck has been. He literally got the number 10 over in NXT for WWE, which not a lot of people can do, is get a number over. he got it over. He was over with the fans. He could be a really good heel if he needs to be. The Shawn Spears news segment was fantastic this past Wednesday. There's not a lot of build to this match, but I think Spears does have to win. At the very least, he's going to lose by DQ and use a chair. But I still think he's going to win this match. What about you, Jack?
I do believe that, yeah, I think Shawn Spears is most likely going to win just because, like you said, Dustin doesn't really... I really think that he needs the win. He really needs the win. They have not used him. They don't know what to do with him. And I think kind of pushing him more towards bigger and better things can really elevate him more. And also, I feel that with Dustin, it would really help after, you know, the whole, like, the decimation that Lance Archer gave to him. This would just kind of put him in, like, a, and I keep going, like, do I still got it anymore kind of storytelling. And I think, like, that whole thing, like, you know, can he? Like, that's the thing, like, people keep going, can he go one more time? And if he can go one more time, maybe he can have one last good match. If not, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of, like, middle of the road, like, crossroads kind of thing. Because that's his whole gimmick since coming to AEW is, like, can he still go? And he's been great. He's probably been better than he ever was. But at the same time, I do think that Shawn Spears needs the victory, and I think you could do more storytelling of the fallen hero, fallen old man, Western kind of style that they're going with Dustin's character.
So, originally, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, was going to go against Chris Statlander. They had a bit of a match the other day. It was like a 4-woman match, I believe, and Britt Baker got so into Statlander's space that even though Hikaru Shida, like, won the match, he pinned whoever the other girl was, Baker didn't even notice that the match ended. She was so busy just beating the crap out of Statlander and just talking shit in her face. So I guess they're going to go with that. But of course, you know, life happened, injuries happened. So now we got Penelope Ford going up against Chris Statlander. And honestly speaking, the thing is, like, Baker built up this last minute, like, heat and spark and whatever against Statlander, just getting in her face, that, like, that match made more sense and had more chemistry. I would have gone either way with them. But with Penelope Ford just kind of being, and understandably why, she's just kind of randomly thrown in there with no real rhyme or reason to go up against Statlander except for, you know, let's have a match. I'm just going to go with Statlander all the way, just have her win.
All right. I think in this one, obviously, we didn't hear the other news. We didn't cover that earlier, but Vince Russo is secretly back in AEW because he booked a Chuck on the Bull match between Penelope Ford and Chris Statlander. So the winner gets to have my child.
Oh, right. God.
And, yes. So, yeah, it's been signed. I don't make the rules, guys. You know, so but that's why I'm doing this podcast, because eventually we're going to need sponsorships because I'm going to have child support to pay. Okay?
No,
now, okay, moving on, seriousness. Okay, here's how this goes down. I think everybody and their mother's talking up Statlander winning. You know, and that's fine. That's dandy and everything. But let's talk about this. Britt, who is the number 2 woman's heel right now, is down with an injury. They need a new number 2 woman's heel because everybody else is a face almost. This is where Penelope comes in. She's being built up now. She's got Kip on the outside as well too. So I think with Kip's help, I think she cheats, and I think she gets a big upset win over Statlander. I think right now she needs that win more than Statlander does, and can benefit from it much more than Statlander can. So yeah, Penelope is my pick, and the mother of my child. So sorry, Kip, I don't make the rules.
Okay, so what do I think about this match with this last minute, unfortunate event that happened live on wrestling? I don't know, this is going to be... I guess Chris Statlander can win the match. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, here's the thing. I think before this match, I would have picked Britt Baker to win. But now that they had to just kind of throw someone in. I love Penelope Ford. I love Kip Sabian. They have a good dynamic between the two. But I honestly think Statlander's going to win. And I think this is going to catapult her to eventually, hopefully at some point, maybe winning the title. I feel like her and Hikaru Shida's union that they have together is going to dissolve at some point. So that's why I'm picking Statlander. And they need to build her up as the challenger eventually to Nyla Rose because she's big and she's strong. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like if they just kind of have to throw someone else into a match eventually, well, they have to throw someone into a match to replace Britt Baker, that Statlander was going to win regardless. But since I picked Nyla Rose to win the women's title match, I feel like Statlander's going to win this one for the face team, for sure. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, it's kind of obvious that Statlander's going to win. I mean, at first I had it booked that Britt was going to win because she was on such a hot streak, but yeah, I really just don't see Penelope Ford beating Statlander. I just don't really see it.
And yeah, that's what kind of happens when it's kind of a random match here. It's like if Statlander had more enemies or something, they could have thrown in some other girl that had beef with her. But even the Britt Baker team was kind of like a last minute beef that just started. But so anyways, now we're down to the last two matches, and these two matches are big. They're both like capable of being the main event, but we all kind of agreed that one particular match has had longer term storytelling almost since the dawn of AEW, to be honest. So we're going to save that one for the absolute last. So right now, the match we have here is for the singles AEW World Championship with the challenger, Mr. Brody Lee, who leads the Dark Order, the Exalted One, versus the champion, Jon Moxley. And, oh man, I don't know. I'm still going to give it to Moxley, but Brody does have the numbers advantage because he can just call in the rest of the Dark Order, and unfortunately Moxley has really not made any friends to back him up. If they keep it relatively clean as you can have it with Moxley anyways, I would say Moxley will win, but it'll probably still end with like all the Dark Order coming in and beating him down or some shit, and they could extend that rivalry. They could have Brody Lee hit him with another finisher with the clothesline or whatever, and just continue to pick on him, let that rivalry go for a while. But yeah, I'm going for Moxley. I mean, he's on fire, man. He's awesome as champ. It is just way too soon for him to lose the belt. The only way I can see him lose it is if he regains it right away or something. Bounty, they're not going to do that. So I'm going to go for Jon Moxley. He's coming for his belt. Brody Lee took the belt, and Jon is coming for you, And Chuck, what's your verdict on it?
Man, I absolutely love Brody Lee. I'm so glad that really it's getting his time to shine. I say Moxley, it's too soon in the game for him to be losing the title. I mean, I honestly, I've been a great champion so far, but I think Moxley takes this win, and I think this builds up a story. This continues the story of the continuous abuse that Brody Lee puts the rest of the Dark Order through. And yeah, I think Mox takes it. Johnny, what you got?
I don't know. I think Jon Moxley's going to probably win the match. I mean, he's pretty awesome. What do you think, Taco?
This was the easiest one to call, in my opinion, out of the entire card. It's Mox. It's not his time to drop the belt yet, and normally from what I've seen in the past of watching wrestling, whenever you take the champion's title without being named the champion, you're not winning at the pay-per-view or the blow-off match or what have you. But it's going to be Mox. I mean, this is going to be a good match. This is going to be a match that's going to show what Brody Lee can do, because a lot of people have seen him as just Luke Harper, but I've seen him on the indies as Brody Lee. and he's a fantastic competitor. It's gonna be a beatdown match. They're gonna beat the shit out of each other. But ultimately, I think Moxley's gonna take this. This was the easy, like I said, this match for me to call, hands down. It's not Mox's time to give up the title yet. It's not Brody Lee's time to win the title. That's all the information and all of the that's all the information that I need. What do you think, Jack?
I think I'm in the minority here. I think that Brody Lee should win because of the fact that, to be honest, I may be in the minority here, but Moxley's a boring champion. He really hasn't done anything since being champion.
Okay, get the fuck out.
And he really hasn't. Compared him to Jericho, Jericho's done a lot as champion. Like, he did great promo work. He had a lot more build. He has a lot more charisma. Moxley just goes in, wins, leaves. And it's kind of like, that's good for a while. That's good for a starting point. But, like, for a champion, I don't think so. I think it should, in order to be the guy, you need the charisma to build off of. I think that there would be more things to build off of Brody Lee winning and Mox eventually, like, kind of changing up a bit to a new level. Because I think that he needs to build off a little more on his character than he does on his wrestling. His wrestling is top-notch. I'm not dissing his wrestling. I'm dissing his just character is kind of like there. And I think that he should focus more on building that than just being the guy who goes in, beats everyone, and leaves. That character can only last for so long. And if you don't believe me, look at Brock Lesnar. That was me. I was like, shots fired. Pew, pew, pew.
And finally, guys, for the main event, a storyline has been brewing possibly since the very beginning of AEW with some of the people involved here that's finally come to a head. It's now come down to this. We've got the Inner Circle led by Le Champion Chris Jericho with a little bit of the bubbly, because even though he doesn't have the title anymore, he is still Le Champion. We've got Sammy Guevara, we got Jake Hager, and we got the Pride and Powerful Santana and Ortiz. And they face the Elite, which is Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, the Young Bucks, and now they got Matt Hardy on their side. And this is a stadium stampede. I need some help there, guys, with exactly what that means. Like, what are the stipulations here?
Basically, the ring is set up in the middle of the Jacksonville Jaguars home field. So basically, the match starts off in the ring, but it's anything goes throughout the entire football stadium, and the falls can happen anywhere.
So it's a falls count anywhere in a stadium?
Pretty much, yeah. So, it's a falls count anywhere in a stadium, which, you're trying to keep up with all of that. I mean, you can just think logistically. I mean, you've seen kind of a sneak preview of that with the recent episode of Dynamite where they kind of battled in the stadium concourse.
Yeah.
So, you'll see. I mean, yeah, but that's exactly what it is.
Okay, so for my thoughts on this one, this is a tough one because they got so much build-up for Matt Hardy being there and everything, but, I mean, the Inner Circle is such a powerful group, though, with just their tactics. You get the muscle of Hager, you get Pride and Powerful, Jericho doing all his antics, and Guevara. It's just, I don't know. And maybe I'm biased because I just bought a Inner Circle shirt, but, from Pro Wrestling Tees, plug. But, damn, I don't know. Because on the other hand, the Elite not only have Matt Hardy, but they also have the return of the Young Bucks. I forgot which one was the one that was injured and out?
Nick Jackson, yeah.
Yeah. So now you have Nick Jackson coming back. It is like his comeback. It is like his payback also for taking that beating. So you factor in both the introduction of Matt Hardy and Nick out for blood now, and of course the whole Hangman, like just how much is he really with them? Damn. I mean, Fuck, this is a tough one, man. Yeah, I'll give it to the Elite because the Inner Circle either almost always wins or they lose but end with a beatdown. This might be the Elite's chance to finally like just win and hopefully win but without ending and getting their asses kicked and keeping control of the match. But yeah, I'll give it to the Elite. And this storyline's been going on for a long time now. It's the Elite's turn to finally overcome Jericho and the Inner Circle. What say you, Sir Chuck?
Oh, this one, this is going to be a classic. I think throughout this whole first year of AEW, the Elite has been on the losing end in pretty much most of these big match situations. I think this is the night of comeuppance for the Inner Circle, and I think the Elite finally gets this one. I think the Young Bucks, the Hangman, Kenny, I think they all somehow put it together. And honestly, I say, or I mean, it could go the other way too, because I mean, a Hangman heel turn in this match is perfectly plausible. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Elite wins this one because with everything going on, the Elite would be a good feel-good end to the pay-per-view. But, I mean, stranger things have happened, but I'm going to go ahead and say the Elite.
Oh, this is a match. They're all very good wrestlers, and they're all powerhouses. They're in their own way. Wow, this is like that kind of match. I don't know, because on one side, I do want the Elites to win, but the other side, the Inner Circle, you have Chris Jericho, and we all know how he is. He's not the kind of guy that's going to really give up that easily. He's probably going to do a lot of cheats here and there. I don't know. So they're both really good, though. It's personally, if I didn't have to, because we have to choose who wins, but to me, it could be either or, to be honest. But I don't know. I think the Elite might win this match. So I don't know. It's it's really like you just gotta watch the whole match and see what happens, But I don't know. I think the Elite might win this one. What do you think, Taco?
I think it's going to be the Inner Circle in this one. The Elite doesn't need this match at all, from a pure shoot standpoint, and from a pure storyline standpoint. I feel like the Inner Circle gets their domination back because they ran the division. Well, they ran the company for so long when Jericho was champion, and I feel like their equalizer that the Inner Circle has is going to be Hager, because the Elite has nobody that's big enough, nobody that's strong enough, as Jake Hager did. I mean, Kenny's good. He's bulked up. The Young Bucks are bigger. Hangman Page is back, but I think that Hager is going to be the equalizer. If not him, then Sammy Guevara, because he's a stud. I think, honestly, this is what I've been thinking about all day, and I think Sammy Guevara is going to get the pinfall eventually. But I'm going with the Inner Circle in this one. I didn't think about this for very long, but this is one that I was kind of set on from the beginning when this match was announced, that the Inner Circle would be winning this match because they're heels. They can win by nefarious means. I mean, there's all kinds of plunder and weapons they can use to their advantage. They kind of lost the scrum that happened on Dynamite this past Wednesday. So that's another reason why, but I think this is going to be the Inner Circle's defining moment as to why they're the best faction in AEW. And the Elite doesn't need this match either. So I'm going for the Inner Circle for this one. What about you, Jeff?
I think that the Elite will win, but I think this will be the final ride of the Elite. I think that this will be the catalyst for the implosion of the Elite. I think that they're coming to the point where, and it seems like just like building up from the feud with Matt Jackson and Adam Page, and Kenny not knowing where his allegiance lies, and the sudden in their respective faction of just suddenly inserting Matt Hardy from that whole perspective. I really feel that this match is going to be the final ride of them all together. I think that they're going to go their separate ways after this. Something's going to happen where it's just going to be the catalyst for them to separate. And I think that that's coming sooner rather than later. So I think the Elite will win, but this will be the last time that they team together as the Elite.
Damn, that'll be epic. I mean, that's at least another thing Jericho can brag about. He can brag about being the guy who dismantled the Elite or something like that in some future promo or something. But
yeah, I was thinking about something like that, like basically him, because Jericho might be taking a bit of a stint for a little while, with this whole thing going on, and I also think that Hangman, especially with what's going on, he could actually use this, like him coming back to help the Elite, as a catalyst for him turning kind of heel and basically saying oh, I put my family at risk, risking my health for you people, and you don't care about me, and you don't respect me, that kind of thing. I feel like that's kind of also the thing that they've been pushing with, the division between the Elite already, and I think that would just kind of elevate it to a whole nother level of well, they're kind of right, but Paige is kind of right. So it's I know it would kind of tear apart the fan base, but I also think that is something that you kind of need to change things. Because that's the whole point of the AEW, is that you have to look at what worked and change it slightly. And you have to look at what didn't work and don't do it.
So in other words, this could be possibly, and yeah, it's kind of perfect because it's the second pay-per-view. It's a full year of AEW. So this could potentially be I guess the match that might separate both the Elite and the Inner Circle, especially if Jericho takes a break or does another tour or something as the world kind of reopens.
Yeah, exactly. This could be the thing that basically saying well, it started with the Elite and it ended with the Elite. That kind of thing, build it off of that sort of thing. Or something like that. I feel like they could do something like that. I mean, I'm not saying they'll never get back together or anything. I just think for a while now, they should try new avenues with their character, especially Hangman. I think Hangman and Kenny should focus more on either doing tag team or doing singles, and then the Bucks can get a run at the titles and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that wraps up this episode, guys. As you guys heard, Taco is actually keeping track of all our predictions here and there. I guess you can always ask us for any if you've missed any. I don't know if you've been writing them down or not, but when we do the review after the event, so this podcast, you guys should be listening to it by Saturday morning or afternoon. Give you plenty of time to watch it and compare it to the actual event. But Sunday night, we're going to try to do the podcast reviewing the actual event, so that'll be up by Monday or so. So Taco can keep his, can do comparisons, rub it in our face, stuff like that. We're doing challenges. If someone gets all of them right, which is, what are the chances of that? Or all of them wrong, we'll see what happens there. And we don't want to promise too many things. We're not going to say anything, but next Saturday we will be doing another podcast, and I don't want to say anything because it's stuff that may or may not happen. You know how it is. We don't want to make fake promises here and there. I mean, I know things are happening. It's a go from our side, but we don't want our viewers thinking of things and then it doesn't happen or whatever. So you'll find out for next Saturday's podcast. You don't want to miss that one if everything works out the way it should, because it's going to be super awesome. So, yeah, I'll leave you guys to your closing statements and any things you want to promote or plug.
Yeah, once again, I just want to promote Pro Wrestling Tees right now with the sale they got going on for Memorial Day, 20% off. Also, take this time to really jump at the opportunity to buy an Owen Hart t-shirt. There has not been an Owen Hart t-shirt available in over 20 years and probably will not be one ever again. So if you always wanted, some sort of piece of Owen Hart, this is your chance to get it. So yeah, Pro Wrestling Tees. Also, get yourself a big Shad shirt. Show that guy some love for his heroic. Best of all, everybody be safe. We're hopefully halfway out of this mess here and on the downswing of it, starting to open a little bit more up and everything, and hopefully get our lives back to some semblance of normalcy. But, just stay safe.
Okay, so I had a good time here at this podcast. Thanks for the invite, guys. This is pretty awesome. Well, pretty much like what everybody else is saying, stay safe, um, things are slowly starting to get normal-ish, like they're starting to open stores, they're talking about that they're going to open casinos and base and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's still like baby steps. So like, you still have to take your precautions, to social distancing, wear a mask if you feel comfortable wearing a mask, because I know some people are like, I don't want to wear a mask, but, just stay safe. This thing is still here. It's stay for a while, so I'll be as safe as possible, and I'm actually glad this pay-per-view's happening because it'll be something to look forward to these times, I don't know if there's anything else anybody else want to add?
Oh, I do want to say real quick that I bought those AEW We Watched It From Home shirts for both me and Johnny. Too bad they'll probably won't be here till after the event's over, but I did get those shirts. And I think, Johnny, you got yourself like a mystery shirt too, didn't you?
I'm still waiting for that order.
So we're all promoting Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah, I don't even want to go through my list of everything I've got. Let's just say it's probably spent a third of my stimulus. But, my objective here was me and Taco sat and talked the other night. We're trying to think, we love wrestling. What's the best thing that we can do right now? That's to, if we, had, extra money or whatever, which we just so happened to with the stimulus. And we decided to set out on Pro Wrestling Tees and buy shirts of not only some, legends that we love, but, guys on the indies who right now aren't able to work, who aren't able to get booking, so, their way of making money right now is by merch sale. So it's important to really, if there's a guy that you really enjoy and, appreciate and everything, now is the time to support him. And the way by doing that is, buy a shirt. That's why they're there. Help these guys make a living right now. Help these guys deal with this.
I'll add on to what Chuck said. I mean, I've gotten 3 wrestling tees so far. For 2 of them were for independent wrestlers, and the other one was for Owen Hart. Like you said, it was the first Owen Hart shirt that's been around for about 20 years, and I couldn't pass up that opportunity. Like we said earlier in the podcast, too, the Shad shirt's out. That's probably going to be one of the next ones that I get if I have the opportunity to do so. But slowly we're opening up. Just remember your fellow man and don't necessarily think about yourself, but think about everybody else. Then we'll all get through this together. Go ahead, Jax. What you wanted to end with?
I wanted to first thank Mark for letting me on this podcast. I'm also thankful that you guys have also been on my podcast. Part 3 will eventually come out sometime soon. I will have you guys on again as well. But I also have my season finale of Hypothetical is going to be coming out fairly soon. And I also wanted to thank not just the first responders, but the true heroes of this entire crisis, and that is the drivers at Grubhub. Let's give a shout out to them and Uber Eats. They're they're the true heroes that no one's giving any credit to.
Yeah, I don't see, John Legend sitting in a piano, thanking them for bringing me my freaking Taco Bell at odd hours of the night,
Exactly. But I do...
No, I mean, I expect to see, like, some sort of, like, commercial, like, in, black and white with really sappy lyrics, maybe showing somebody bringing maybe 3 large pizzas up to my plate and just setting them down at my door and backing away slowly.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, since you guys are talking about the true heroes, I mean, let's also not forget, grocery store workers, because they have to be dealing with all these rude-ass customers.
And the people that believe this is a hoax, and all the dumbasses that get all into it.
It's the 5G! It's the 5G, I tell ya!
Yeah, my freedom!
The convict parents out there making life difficult for people that work in public customer jobs. They're really like the real heroes of them all. Because they have to be dealing with the public. Supermarkets are very important because that's a place people. I know people are going there to buy toilet paper and shit like that, but it's really important to have places like that because that's where you can buy groceries, you can buy food, you can buy snacks, sodas, fruits, vegetables, all the essentials that people need in times like this. Like they're the ones that I really do feel like they really need a good shout out. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think that everyone that is currently working or at home or is currently have a job or is just serving the public, they deserve more respect out after this whole thing blows over than they probably, let's be honest, will get after this. And I think that we should all show them a little more kindness after this whole thing blows over, because essentially every time they deal with an idiot, rude person, which I've dealt with for over a decade, so I totally understand, I just imagine that they're all homeless guys screaming in the back alleys going, 7-Eleven is an inside job! And I'm like, no, I'm done. Bye.
Oh, God. Well, anyways, guys, on that note, that wraps up this podcast. Stay tuned to our channel, Video Game Masters 09, and also our library channel, VGM Geek Portal. Check out Jack Knives' channel, both on YouTube and library. I have the links below because, yeah, we all are in this podcast or other videos of his. We kind of sort of cross over back and forth between the channels, so you'll see all of us, you'll hear all of us just, I don't know, bouncing from channel to channel. And in the case of library, we're going to have a separate channel just for these podcasts because we do intend to have them quite often. So we want a nice little, I guess, playlist of just the podcast. You can check us out on library with our second channel based on Diving Cutter. So with that, guys, yeah, we'll wrap it up for now. See you next time for our thoughts of Double or Nothing. We'll see which one of us are right and which one of us are wrong. See you later.
Take care.